My name is Kamakelo Maponya, Kamtata Boza Yadi Boza, and thank you so much for choosing my YouTube channel to watch today. Today, I am joined in studio with one of my friends, someone I look up to, and a good friend of mine. His name is Jerome Sibande, and he's going to be chatting all about the actuarial profession. Anything you need to know, just know that this is the video for you. He's a good friend of mine, so in this conversation, it'll be very lighthearted, but we will still get to know everything that you need to know about the actuarial profession. It's a great one. Almost went that route, but I took a different route, and I'm very happy about it. And yeah, Jerome, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for allowing me to be on the podcast, Kamu. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. We've known each other for a while.
Yes.
I would say we're good friends.
Yeah, I would say that too.
We're good friends. We've known each other for a while. I've seen your journey from beginning to end. But for those who don't know you, a little mini introduction. Who would you say you are?
From what you've said, my name is Jerome Sibande. I'm from Malawi originally. I did my primary school in Malawi and I did my high school in Mafikeng. That's where we met.
Yes, same high school.
And then now I'm here at UCT studying Actuary.
Studying Actuary. Yeah. Ooh. Okay, so I want to start off with quick fire questions, right? Something to just break the ice, get to know you in a fun way. So, if you had a movie named after you or a movie made about your life, what would you name it?
I would probably call it Jay-Z because in high school I had the nickname Jay-Z, not because I looked like Jay-Z, but because of the amount of people that knew me, especially towards the end because I was head prefect and had a lot of other leadership roles. So I'll probably name it that for the high school guys.
Okay. And you know what's crazy? My next question is about would you rather be Kanye's friend or Jay-Z's brother?
Rather be Jay-Z's brother.
Why?
I don't know. I think the aura of Jay-Z and that whole life, I think I would probably want to be in that. No disrespect to Kanye, but I'd probably want to be with Jay-Z.
The whole business acumen, the whole
Yeah. I think I rock with that more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather be in jail for 5 years or be in a coma for 10?
I'd rather be in a coma because when I wake up, I wouldn't have realized that 10 years have passed. Of course, I would have missed 10 years.
Okay.
But being in jail for 5 years, I don't think I would survive.
You don't think you'd survive?
No.
I feel like you're a tough guy.
I know, but jail's a different environment. From what I've seen, I don't think I'd want to be there.
What if you're like the good guy in jail who doesn't get into trouble? You just do what you need to.
I think you'd probably eventually be forced to get into things because I don't know about jail life, to be honest with you. But from what I see from movies, I just think it's an environment where you have to be a certain type of character to survive. Yeah. And I don't think I can be that. But maybe, when you're there, you kind of have to, assimilate.
10 years though.
I don't mind.
Think about 10 years ago. Where were you? You were in grade 6, grade 5, grade 6. Mm-hmm. You missed all that time.
I know, but I wouldn't have felt that 10 years have passed.
Okay.
I think in jail, every single day I'll feel it. So I'd rather be in a coma for 10 years and let it pass immediately.
That's crazy to me. What series are you currently watching?
Ooh, I'm watching The Boys on Amazon Prime.
Oh, you're a Prime guy?
Yes. I'm watching The Boys and I'm started watching The 100 on Netflix.
Okay.
So those are the two series I'm watching now.
What are they, horror, adventure?
The 100 is like an apocalyptic future type of world.
Oh, okay.
Then
like Stranger Things vibes?
Not Stranger Things. It's more akin to The Walking Dead. Okay. It's more akin to that. Then The Boys it's a superhero, but a more realistic version of them. So what would happen if superheroes were actually with us?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the last
highly recommend them though.
You highly recommend?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might just watch. I don't have Amazon Prime, so if you give me your account, maybe.
And we'll go half with the subscription.
You give it to me for free because I'm your friend.
Okay. I mean, we'll talk about it after.
Okay. What was the last song you listened to?
The last song I listened to was Do For Love by Tupac on the way here. Yeah. I'm a big Tupac fan.
Okay, so I'm guessing Tupac, Jay-Z, hip-hop is
deep
in your veins.
It's there, but I'm more into Afro beats nowadays.
Okay.
But hip-hop is like the foundation, what I started listening to when I was a kid. but normally the 90s, early 2000s. But nowadays I'm into like Afrobeats, Amapiano.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've moved into that space.
But anything good, I'll listen to it. Yeah.
So you spoke earlier about how you had leadership roles in high school, you were head prefect. Like, chat to us more about that, because I think you started very young in terms of leadership, getting to learn those skills. How has that helped you now?
It's helped me in the sense that many people associate leadership with how smart you are. But when you're in the role, it's not really about how smart you are. It's really about how well you can manage people, because you're managing people with different personalities. You're managing people who have different expectations of the thing that you're trying to lead. So you have to bring all of that together, find a balance between everybody, and at the same time execute your vision as a person, because you're the leader, you're the person who's been tasked with guiding people in a certain direction. So that's the difficult part. And I think coming into university now, I have an ability to maybe be in a group and manage different personalities, and also at the same time bring out my own personality and my own vision for how things should go.
Would you say you're a natural leader? Because that's I'd say the vibe, the aura you portray. Like, the first time I met you, I could see, okay, this is someone who would be a prefect, or someone who could potentially be head prefect or deputy head. I would say you have that ability, but would you say that?
I wouldn't say I was a natural leader. I think growing up, I was more a person on the sidelines, wanting other people to do things. But through that experience, through that exposure, and also being in boarding school, you kind of have to develop a sense of independence and develop your own voice. And through that, I think it really helped me become a leader. Natural leaders are there, especially if they grow up in an environment where they should be leaders. But I think for me personally, I was more of, take a step back type of person. I didn't want to be involved in all of that.
Which is so crazy, because I think perspective plays a very big part. My perspective of you was that you're a natural leader. And you're saying, not really. From my perspective, I was more someone to let other people lead and follow their leadership.
Yeah.
So I think perspective plays a big part. And I wanted to know, why choose South Africa to study? Because we always hear that our education system is not the greatest, but you decided that I actually want to come study in South Africa. Why South Africa?
South Africa, relative to Malawi, there are a lot more opportunities. And it's all dependent on what you want to study. Of course, I always give the analogy, I wouldn't go to maybe Harvard to study music. They might not be the best at teaching music. You go to a place where what you want to study, and that university is the best at doing that. So I found that UCT, in an AXI position, it was probably one of the best universities to go to.
Okay.
And that really narrowed down the options to come to SA. Of course, there were other options, but for me, I think the opportunities here outweighed the opportunities elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's not often that you hear the profession called actuarial science. A lot of us only heard of it maybe towards the end of our high school careers, where it's like, I need to apply, and these are the careers my teachers are telling me to apply for. What prompted you to say, you know what, maybe actuarial science is something I should do? Because I'm guessing, teachers always think you're going to go maybe be a doctor or be a lawyer or other great professions, but why actuarial science?
There's a saying, people who do actuarial science, if you ask them why they did it, it's one of the 3 M's. So it's either the money, it's either you're good at maths,
yes,
or it was either my mom, my teacher, my dad, someone, my something told me to do it. I think for me, it was more of the maths. So I was good at maths in high school. And when I was looking up professions to do with maths, you get engineering, you get accounting, you get actuarial science. I kind of had a baseline idea of what engineering is, what accounting is. But actuarial science was the only one that was a foreign concept to me. So I dug into that more. And through digging into that, I realized that, okay, this is something that I could do, because it's marrying the statistics, the maths, and the finance, which I did like. Rather than going maybe a finance or CA route, this was more applicable to me because it was more mathematics and stats heavy. So I was like, oh, I can do that.
And the journey I'm sure has been tough or has been rough along the way.
Most definitely.
You always hear the UCT exemptions first year, you need to get minimum 60% for everything. When starting out, what were your expectations versus now? What is the reality of actuarial science?
Going into it, I had many people telling me it was hard. But, at the same time, you also have to believe in yourself and say, okay, it might be difficult, but I applied for this. I'm going to do this. Let me try. And now the things I wish I knew beforehand was how much stats is actually within the degree. By stats, I mean statistics. So I wish I knew that there was going to be a lot, because now in my third year courses, it's just statistics everywhere. And you have to be comfortable with that. If you don't like that, then I wouldn't recommend doing it. But the challenges in first year were balancing everything. First year, you have about 9-10 subjects. And each subject is its own full subject. And you need to be able to balance all of that. I believe that if you were to do each subject individually, you'd do well. But the fact that you're doing them all together is a bit of a challenge. And also at UCT, when I was in first year, to progress into second year smoothly, you had to get above 70 for maths and 70 for statistics.
That is crazy.
Which was a lot. I think now they've reduced it to 65. There are other routes you can take, but it is very difficult in that sense. And since you have these prerequisites to hit, it does put a lot of pressure on you. So the key for me really was trying to find a balance between everything. So balancing each subject, but remembering the priorities, remembering that this is a priority, that's a priority. These ones I can pass, but I don't need to pass well. I can just pass them and move on. Because, 5-10 years from now, I'm not going to remember that distinction I got for MAM 1000 or whether I got a distinction or not for stats. It's about, did you get what was required and did you move on from that? Yeah.
How do you find that balance? Because we always hear about first year is tough because we don't know how to balance. But what does balance actually look like?
Balance is very subjective. I think I always believe in 3 spheres of your life. There's the physical, there's the psychological, your mind, and then there's the spiritual side. So for me, it's trying to find a balance between these 3 spheres. Of course, when you're challenging or you're chasing school, something will have to give. There's this famous meme about actuarial science where there's a triangle and there are 3 points. Then I think one of the points is sleep, social life, pass exams. You can only choose 2. So if you pass exams, you have to either choose sleep or your social life. So for example, you pass exams and you choose sleep, you don't have a social life. Pass exams and you have a social life, you don't sleep that much. So finding a balance is very subjective. It won't be perfect, but you have to find something that you can willingly give up so that you can achieve the other goals that you have. And that's where your priorities kick in.
Okay.
Yeah.
But on the outside, you look like you have all 3 on lock. You look like, you have a healthy social life. Well, you have like healthy group of friends. I see you don't lock yourself in your books. I'm guessing you might have some sleep, or is sleep the one that is not up to par?
I think sleep for me is the one that I give up.
Okay.
In terms of passing exams, social life, I don't have a chaotic social life. I think I've developed a group of friends that I really like and that are really supportive in an academic sense and non-academic as well. Sleep. I think sleep is the one that I'm lacking, but I don't show it because you have to rock up the next day full of energy. I'm into coffee now, so I do drink that a lot.
Ooh,
but
caffeine.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Does
the only.
Does it keep you jittery?
It does, but you get used to it at a point.
Okay.
But either way, as I said, balance is very subjective. There's this fetish that, okay, I can achieve balance with these things, but sometimes something will have to give, and you need to know what you need to give up so that you can achieve the other stuff.
So currently, what would you say you're giving up?
I'm probably giving up a bit of the social life. So you do turn down invitations to parties and maybe dinners. The important things I do attend, birthdays, things like that. But these weekly events, for me, I stopped doing that.
They're out.
But at the same time, when something special is happening, I do make time to go.
Okay.
Because if I don't go, then I'll feel completely out of touch with reality. Because when you're just in your books all the time, you tend to get locked into that world, and it's very abstract.
Yeah.
So once you're out of it, it really helps to do all those things with your friends.
What would you say has been the low point of your journey so far? It can't always be a high. There's something that maybe is a challenge, an obstacle on the way. What has been that for you?
Probably the second year exams, end of year exams. I was studying day and night for that. It was very difficult, very intense. And I think you mentioned the exemptions. So to qualify as an actuary or fellow of the Actuarial Society of South Africa, it's called FASA for short. You need to pass a series of exams.
Okay.
So I think now there are about 13 exams.
That's so wild.
Yeah, there are a lot. But if you do a degree at an accredited university like UCT, you can get a certain number of exemptions. So the exemption allows you not to write the exam.
Okay.
So it's like a pass now. But those exemptions aren't for free. You need to get certain marks at university. So the main pressure a lot of AXA kids have is getting the exemptions while they're at university so that when they finish, they don't have too many exams to write while they're working.
Okay.
So at UCT, I believe you can get exempted from about 10.
Oh, wow. So you only have three left.
But those 3 now can take you maybe 3-5 years to finish.
Okay, so for those who don't know, what does the journey to becoming an actuary look like? Because I think we know with medicine, it's the 6 years community service. With law, it's like the 4 years. Then you have community. Like we all know the other professions, but with actuarial science, it seems very blurry as to what the journey looks like.
Yeah, I think I'll start off with what we do. So actuarial science, or an actuary, the common misconception is that we're actuarial scientists. The term is actuary, but we quantify financial risk. So we assist in pricing insurance products like your car insurance, your health insurance. The price you pay, we helped price it.
Okay.
We price it based on characteristics of you as a person. So maybe your smoking status, how old you are, whether you drive or not. All of these things affect the risk that you're exposed to, and we try and quantify that risk for people.
Okay.
So there's a lot of maths, there's a lot of statistics because there's probability involved. What's the probability of you living or dying in a certain number of years? And that probability is affected by certain characteristics of you as a person. So to qualify as an actuary, you need to write the board exams.
Okay.
So nowadays, you can write all of the board exams having not done an actuarial science degree.
Okay.
But you can imagine, that route to be even longer. Mm-hmm. So many people decide to study an actuarial science degree so that they can get a certain number of exemptions. Not everyone gets the full 10, but you try and get as many as you can so that when you do graduate and do start working, you don't have many exams to write whilst you're working.
So does that mean that if I don't get an exemption, I can still have the actuarial science degree?
Yes.
Because I think I would always get confused, like, how do you pass and not get an exemption?
I see. Exemptions, passing is about 50%. But to get an exemption, normally it's above 60%.
So it's 60% minimum for exemption.
Exemptions. Normally. So second year courses and some third year courses, it's flat at 60. But now some third and fourth year courses is dependent on the external examiner. They set it, but it's typically between 60 and 65% and above for the exemption.
Oh, wow.
So you can pass. So you can get a 55 or 56. You can get the degree, but it's possible to miss an exemption. So when you do graduate, it's another exam you need to write while you're working.
I think the beautiful thing is that not getting the exemption doesn't mean that the career is over.
No.
Because you still have the degree. There's still opportunities outside of maybe the traditional course of being an actuary. So what are the alternative careers that an actuary can get into? Because we always hear they're the insurance people, but what else is there to an actuary?
Good point on the journey. I think a lot of people think if I don't get the exemption, it's over. You can still get the degree. And from meeting actuaries in the industry, their journeys were non-linear. By non-linear, I mean they got to the FASA designation, they became fellows, but their journeys, they failed a couple of exams. They failed a lot. And it's just encouraging as a person to see that, okay, failure within the actuarial profession is normal. It's possible to fail an exam. It's possible to have to rewrite it, and that's perfectly fine. everyone's journey is unique, and you need to take pride in the fact that your journey will be unique. You might not get all 10 exemptions. You might not pass everything first time, and that's okay. In terms of alternative career paths, I know the cliches that, oh, they'll go into insurance, pensions, but as I said, we quantify risk, and risk is everywhere. So there's risk in banks, there's risk in a lot of financial institutions. So a lot of actuaries nowadays, they're going out into banking, they're going out into asset management, because the skills we learn, a lot of the skills we learn are transferable to those areas.
That's the beauty.
And alternative career paths, you can go into data science, you can do a CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst. I think the skills we learn are very versatile, and it doesn't just confine you to actuarial science. So you learn skills about statistics, data analysis, coding. You learn a lot about finance and risk management. So there's a lot of opportunities out there for you.
So it's like never limited.
No.
Don't think that your journey, maybe you didn't get that 60% for exemptions. It doesn't mean that it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
You can get in somewhere else.
Yeah, most definitely. And many people, when they do graduate, they don't actually follow through with the exams. Maybe they branch out into data science or become a quantitative analyst, because the skills we learn are transferable to so many areas. So don't think that your be-all, end-all should be becoming an actuary. You can become so many other things.
What are you thinking? Like, where does Mr. Quantifying Risk, where do you see yourself?
I see myself trying to push to finish the exams, because the one thing I think is that once you finish the exams, there are a lot more opportunities actually, because you have that qualification and you can work anywhere. You can work around the world. You can work in different companies, because once you've reached that level, the skills you've attained are really, really valuable to a lot of people. So having that designation makes you a lot more marketable as a person. But if I feel like it's not for me at any point, I can always branch out. Maybe a good alternative will probably be a CFA.
Okay.
And enter into that space, asset management space,
So you
which
miss
is very
accounting.
interesting. I do. It's such a shame that we only do it in first year, but I do miss accounting in some sense. But at the same time, I'm fine with what I'm doing. I don't envy what you guys do, so I'm fine with what I'm doing.
You know what's crazy? I feel the same, but in the opposite, because we end maths and stats in first year. And I always long for the days, like, I miss having variety of courses, because like you said, now everything you do is maths, stats. On my end, everything I do is accounting, right? And there's very little variation to what I do. It's like I know every course interlinks, which is the beauty of it all. But I miss the days where I was doing like an ecos. I could have my mind in a different sphere, different world, like learn something new. The generic courses that every commerce student does, I miss those days sometimes. Like, yeah, I don't know. Do you ever miss those days?
I miss the interactions, because nowadays our classes are very small, because it's just us exercise specialized kids. But first and second year, you are sharing courses with other people in different degrees. So you tend to learn a lot about what they're studying, and you tend to meet a lot of people. But now when you get to third and fourth year, your courses are very specialized, classes are quite small. So I do miss interacting with people outside of my degree. The only chance now is probably out when you're walking around, but not in class anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
I have a theory that a lot of people don't know which company to work for, right? And they often tie themselves to whoever takes them first. When looking for companies to possibly do like VAC work with, what are some of the things you look out for?
It's tricky when you're young, because you don't have a lot of bargaining power. So like when you have experience, when you have a degree, you can kind of, choose where to be, what you want to do, because you know. But when you're young, you don't really have an idea of what the working world is like. You don't really have an idea of what type of department you want to work into. So with actuarial science, there's pricing, there's product development, there's business development, there's modeling, so many departments within an actuarial function. And you don't really know where you fit in. So my general advice is, put yourself out there, go to as many VAC works as you can, do as much research as you can about different companies, so that by the time you graduate, you have an idea of what you want to do. Of course, it might not be perfect, but it's better off than knowing nothing.
That's true.
So I do advise people, apply for 10 different VAC works if you can. It might be a lot. You might not like certain things, but
at least you know.
At least you know. People say you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So rather apply to everything. Know that, okay, I like company A, I don't like company B, company C, D, X, Y, Z. Rather know that than not know anything. So just do as much as you can while you have time.
When do you think people should sign to a company? Because I heard with actuarial science, it's very similar to accounting, where as soon as first year, you could say, I know I'm going to work, but I don't know if that's a good idea. Like, do you think people are tying themselves down too early? When do you think is that perfect time to sign?
It's tricky because, again, it's very subjective to people. Some people's financial situations are quite tight, so they need to tie themselves down early so that they have a sense of financial support. Of course, on the flip side, they are tying themselves down to one company, and when they graduate, they're going to work for that company. But if you feel like, okay, I can sign this bursary contract, but at the same time, I'm still open to other suggestions, then be prepared to maybe break the contract and pay them back money. But a lot of people, when they do sign those contracts, they don't mind sticking, but I would advise that don't just fixate on that company. Mentally put yourself in different situations. So maybe do research on asset management or investing, things like that. Don't just think about maybe the life insurance company you've signed for. So although you may be signed to that company, still have an open mind about the other possibilities out there.
I agree. I think even in all companies, in all areas, professions, if you don't have the financial need, if you are maybe like you're on NSFAS or on a general bursary, if you don't need to sign early, take your time to understand the different areas of your profession, because we have an idea of what it is in high school or in first year, but I think you'll have a clearer perspective on it once you're in second or third year. That's when you see, okay, this is what my degree is all about. Yeah. This is what my future or my day-to-day might look like. Because in first year, because everyone is doing the same thing,
you don't really know what's going on,
you
actually.
You don't know, yeah.
No, I agree. And I think for that, it's also a bit tricky because, first year you have a situation where everyone's doing the same thing. You don't really know what's going on. To some degree, even second year, you don't really know what's going on. It's only third and fourth year where you really get into the specialized subjects. That's where you realize that, okay, this is what accounting's all about. This is what actuarial science is all about. Even me now, being in third year, I think I only got a sense of what it's all about now compared to the last 2 years. So maintaining that focus to get to this point is also a bit tricky because you could say that I have a passion for it, but the passion might die out in first and second year, but hang on because you're going to make it to the point where the things are now applicable to what the passion you had was.
It starts to align.
It starts 100%, to come together. Yeah.
And I agree. I think especially in first year, I will say if you go into it saying, I'm going to do actuarial science, I'm going to do accounting or law, and then you realize everything, I have one law course or one accounting course or one actuarial course, everything else is very generic.
Yeah.
You start to think, oh man, I don't know if this is for me
or not.
Yeah, those questions come about. Have you been in that position where you thought, is this really for me? Is this the journey I'm meant to take?
Definitely. I think, especially in first and second year, you don't really know what's going on because you have maybe one or two AXI courses, main AXI courses, but everything else is run by different departments. So you have those moments, and I think those moments are normal because you might have a passion, but there'll be days where you'll think, okay, I don't think this is for me. I don't think I'm cut out for this. But I had an amazing opportunity to go to a VAC work, and one of the actuaries there told us that, the journey of actuarial science is really about perseverance and resilience. So even on those days where you don't feel like working, even on those days where you don't feel like it's for you, it's probably those days that make or break you because you could give up and change. Or you could stay and persevere and reap the rewards at the end.
And you're reaping them now?
Not yet, but hopefully we get there.
Soon, like you have what, a year left?
A year, yeah, more or less.
When you think about the working world, does it excite you? Does it scare you? Does it, I don't know, are you anxious about it? What's your feeling towards it?
I'm a bit anxious because I finish maybe in a year and a half now. I'm going to spend maybe 30, 40 years working until maybe you retire, or if I have enough money, early retirement. And that's a bit scary because if I'm spending that much time working, it better be something I like doing.
Worthwhile.
And worthwhile as well. So I've spent a lot of time during the vacuums I've been to kind of understand which department, which area of actuarial science really stimulates my brain. Is it pricing? Is it modeling? Is it reporting? Is it maybe something else, maybe more data analytics? Because when you wake up every day, you need to be excited to go to work. I'm not saying it will be, you have the excitement every day,
Yeah.
but most out of not. You need to be able to say, okay, I'm going to work and I enjoy what I'm doing. So I'm just trying to find that area. It will take time, but as long as you start looking, because sometimes you get trapped in a department or a certain aspect of your career that is quite boring, and you can, receive burnout, you can feel bored,
Yeah.
and that can really derail you. So I'm just trying to find an area where I really enjoy and I'm get excited to go to work and do.
Do you have a support system, especially as an international student, because you're very far from family,
Yeah.
maybe seeing them once or twice a year. Do you have that support system that keeps you going, or have you had to create one?
It's a bit of both. I have a support system from home, so my parents, my family, extended family. Then the one you create is the one that's here. So there's a saying as well, like family, we don't choose family, but we choose our friends. So the friends that I've made here are also my support system. And I do maybe encourage first years not to feel bad if they don't have a lot of friends. I feel like your true friends will naturally gravitate towards you. And those are the people that you should surround yourself with. The challenge in university is that there's so many different personalities of people.
Yeah.
So you might not gel with everybody. And sometimes it hurts internally that, oh, I didn't gel with this person, I didn't gel with that person. But the people that will be your friends are the ones that will naturally gel with you. It might take time to find those people, but you will find them, and patience is required. So once I've found my friends that I gel with, and not to say that I don't gel with everyone else, but those are the people that really naturally gravitate towards me, and I really appreciate that. And they're also my support system. So I have friends within XI, outside of XI, and yeah, that's my chosen family.
Your chosen family.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important because we don't realize how much your friends can contribute to your success.
Most definitely, yeah.
Especially within your degree. You said it's very small, so you guys need each other. You need that support system, people who are going to push you on, who are going to champion you, who are going to, maybe help you where you're lacking. And I think that's very, very important. Regardless of which degree you enter, you need to make sure you have a group of friends within and within the degree and outside the degree as well. Just to create a space where you're growing as a person, you're exploring, you're broadening your mind. That's important, like broaden your mind. I know you said you will have personalities that you clash with, but I think it's important to have those personalities you clash with, to be in situations where you're exposed to people you don't know. And university is a great space. I mean, there's certain people, if you come from a smaller town or you're not from the big city, you'll get to Cape Town and you're like, whoa, like you guys live like this? What do you mean? But it also opens up your mind to the different possibilities, the different lifestyles, and you get to explore and choose, oh, okay, I didn't know more about this. Maybe I could tap into this. I think it's important to have a support structure.
No, 100%. And I always say this a lot, but in high school, you can get away with studying on your own. A lot of the work is designed for you to work individually. And at the end of the day, you write the exam individually.
Yeah.
University, it's the same thing. Most of the exams are individual tasks, but you have group work projects which affect your final grade. And you need people to support you because a lot of the time, the degree is a collective effort.
Yes.
So there'll be a topic that I understand that maybe my friend doesn't understand and vice versa. And we can help each other to do that. There'll be group work assignments where we both need to pitch in because this will affect our final grade on the transcript. So we both need to work. So if you have friends that can really help you and support you, because the lecturers are not always available all the time. The tutors aren't always available all the time. So your last point of call in terms of course content are your friends, and those friends
true.
can really help you pass a course. So you really need a good support system around you.
And you need to push. Like,
Yeah.
you need friends that motivate you. Like, yes, have friends, but make sure the friends you have within your degree are those who will push you to be better.
Yeah.
I think that's even more important. I think with the mentality around going to school, mentality about the profession, mentality about school in general, studying, what keeps you going?
What keeps me going? That's interesting. I think it's initially, I thought it was motivation, but then through reading books and articles, I realized that there'll be days when motivation is lacking. So if motivation is lacking, does it mean on those days you won't do anything? Which is not the best thing.
Yeah.
So rather have a routine of discipline and consistency. Because when you have a sense of discipline and consistency, that will keep you going even on the days when you don't have motivation. So what I mean by this is have a schedule, have a timetable, have a routine. I'll sleep at this time, wake up at this time. Have a maybe exercise routine if that's for you. Those things, they'll keep you in check, and your brain will, assimilate this program and say, okay, this is my daily schedule, and this is how I operate. Of course, some days you'll be motivated to do that, some days you won't. But as long as you stick to the schedule, that really keeps you going in terms of schoolwork, in terms of maintaining your fitness, eating healthy. It really depends on what you want to get out of it. But that really keeps me going. Having a schedule, drawing up a timetable, it's still applicable. So you can draw up a timetable like the way you used to do in high school. Still do those things, because now no one's going to tell you to wake up. No one's going to tell you, oh, hand in your homework or this assignment. You're all on your own.
Yeah.
So you need to have a sense of discipline to do those things.
So you're systematic about the way you do things.
Yeah, you have to be. I think the way our degree is structured, there are deadlines, there's test dates, there's certain things you need to know. You need to be systematic about it. You can't be all over the place, because if you're all over the place, you're really jeopardizing your final grade. So you need to have a system in place that works for you. You can adopt a few techniques and mannerisms that other people have, but if they don't work for you, find something else to do.
Find something.
And that thing should work for you as well.
Okay. Actually, being an actuary seems tough. Being an actuary seems like a worthwhile career. For someone who's there in high school or they're still in first year, what do you think you would tell them about the profession that they might not know?
I think I'll start with high school. What I would have liked to know, I spoke about the stats earlier, but also the balancing part. So academically speaking, first and second year, you have a lot of subjects, and each subject is quite heavy. So having a routine that can help you manage that, but also at the same time knowing your priorities, knowing which subjects count for exemptions, which subjects are needed to progress into next year. Of course, you have to pass everything, but there's certain subjects where you need to hit certain grades. Know all of that information beforehand, so that when you're studying, you know what to prioritize and what not to prioritize.
Yeah.
And in terms of maybe subject choice, a lot of people do ask, what subject should I do to prepare me for university? The main subject is maths. And if you have the opportunity, I would recommend you take AP Maths as well, because the maths in first year is very technical.
Yeah.
So if you have some sort of head start, it will help you a lot. Then everything else, they do teach you from scratch. So economics is taught from scratch, accounting is taught from scratch. But if you have the opportunity to take those subjects, I would highly recommend them, so that your first year isn't as rough as it could be. It'll still be rough, but it won't be as rough as it could be if you don't have prior experience.
Yeah.
Then the last thing, which maybe also took me by surprise, was the coding aspect.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I heard that comp-sci was the reason a lot of people second guess the decision to become an actuary.
And the funny thing is, we've had harder subjects than comp sci, way harder subjects. It's just that the coding aspect took a lot of people by surprise. I did coding in high school, fortunately, but a lot of the things that are taught at university are taught very quickly. So, for example, there's a topic in computer science called data arrays. And I spent a month in high school learning about that. At UCT, they took 5 days to do it.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the month of
The pace.
exactly the month the knowledge I got in a month, you need to learn in 5 days. And it was similar with other topics. You know, some topics in high school I spent 2 months learning them, but now it's a week, 2 weeks. So if you have the opportunity, I would highly recommend that you code in Python before you come to university.
Watch all the YouTube videos you can.
Don't stress about it, but take it slowly, maybe two
Okay.
videos a day, a video a day. Just know what certain things are so that when you get to university, you're not caught too off guard.
Okay.
Anyone in first year, I would say do as well as you can, especially in maths and stats. But at the same time, make sure you do manage your life. So don't burn out too much. Don't overwork yourself because you will be tired. And to write exams, you need energy. To write tests, you need energy. To attend lectures, you need energy as well.
Yeah.
So don't overwork yourself. Find something, a routine that works for you and implement that into your life.
Do you think you have the curse of being like a high achiever where everything in your life you want to excel in to the point where it works against you?
Yes, I think the challenge with people that have achieved a lot is that they're their own worst critic. So when I don't do something well, someone will be like, oh, but at least you did this, at least you did that. But in my head, I'm thinking, I didn't do what I wanted to do. Maybe I'm a failure. Why did I do this? So you're your own harshest critic. And my advice to anyone who feels like that is take it easy on yourself. There will be times where you'll fail. There will be times where you'll fall short of where you want to be. But always remember how far you've come from. You came from ground zero and now you're up there. So never forget how far you've come. But at the same time, don't give up because you know that you can get to where you want to be. And this advice goes for every person, not even the high achievers. There are people out there maybe who have a very low self-esteem. So when they don't achieve something, they really beat themselves up. But what I've learned and my advice is that, take it easy. There'll be days where you need to be kind to yourself so that you can get up the next day and do it again. But failure is a part of life. And in my mind, failures set up successes because you know what not to do. So you know the way forward and you will get to where you need to go. Just really take it easy on yourself.
So change your perspective on failure. Look at it as a lesson.
Yes.
I think what I've learned most through this journey is that failure is inevitable to a certain extent. You will at some point fail a test. I don't want to say...
It's a given.
It's a given.
Yeah.
It is a given at this point. You will fail a test. You will have, even if it's a tough test, but you will fail something at some point. But learn to, yes, feel the emotions in that moment, but quickly change your perspective on it. Like, okay, I failed, but it doesn't mean that the journey is over. It just means that I've gone over this hurdle. There's something I need to do to change what is happening. I maybe need to consult. Maybe I need to go for more tutorials, or maybe I just don't understand the content. Let me revisit what it is that I don't understand. Failure is inevitable, but it's not something that should be the end of your journey.
I agree. And sometimes you fail not because the work is difficult, but because maybe the work was taught in a week. And you need to understand and conceptualize, practice, and write a test on it. If you're not really comfortable with, you might fail, and that's okay. But as you said, how you approach failure really differentiates someone who's going to succeed and someone who won't succeed.
Yeah.
Because everyone, whether the smartest person in the group, they'll always experience a form of failure. But how you deal with that really differentiates you. And it comes back to the point of, resilience and, perseverance. If you have those skills, then even when you fail, you treat it as an opportunity and you'll still continue going forward.
You also continue going forward. I've learned a lot from you, and I'm sure the people at home have also learned a lot from you. What would you say, and look into the camera, what would you say to 10-year-old Jerome? What's the one piece of advice you'd give him?
Keep on going. Enjoy life. Don't take everything too seriously. There'll be times where, you'll fall short. But don't beat yourself up. Continue going. Continue doing what you like. and everything else will follow.
Thank you so much, Jerome. I had a good time. It has been amazing having you. I always learn from you. Like every conversation I have with this guy, I know like, yo, Mr. Wise Guy is going to give me words of wisdom. And I think it really helps to have people in your corner who continue to push you. And you don't necessarily push me by saying something. It's by being who you are. I see the efforts you put into not only your work, but into everything that you do. You don't take anything for granted. This is from the outside, but you don't take anything for granted and you put your all into everything. And it's something I truly admire. Yeah, guys, I know I look like a fan right now, but it's because I grew up seeing him as someone I look up to. I really did look up to you, and I still do look up to you. You're doing very well, not only in your career, but in every area of your life. You're going to do well. So yeah, thank you so much for taking this opportunity and joining me on my podcast.
Thank you for having me as well. I really enjoyed it speaking to you as well.
Thank you. You guys at home, if you have any more questions, put them down in the comment section. And please tell us what your experience is. Maybe you are an aspiring actuary. Maybe you're someone who is thinking about going into the profession. Tell us what you think about this episode. Please leave a comment. Obviously, share it with your friends, your fellow actuaries, or share it with that grade 12 student who wants to know more about the profession. But from me, Kamachalo and Jerome, it is bye-bye.